Hi, I'm Andrea Jefferson, and I'm from Quince. I'm the chef owner here at Quince. And what I'm going to be demonstrating for you today is the searing of the ancho, chili, and coriander marinated flatiron steak and the porcini dusted mushrooms, aka magic mushroom dust, on the Yukon Gold potatoes. So the first step that we're going to do in the searing process here is don't forget to salt the steak on both sides, and I just did that. So we're heating up the pans, and we're going to heat up the pan at kind of like a medium heat. Once the pan is warm to hot, we're going to put a little bit of the canola oil in both pans, and then essentially we're going to sear both the steak and also the potato. So the first part of the searing is to put the product into the pan when the oil is slightly smoking. So I'm going to just reach over here for the oil, and I'm going to use the canola oil, and I'm going to use a little bit of canola oil and a little bit of olive oil with the potatoes. So it's not too much, but it should coat the bottom of the pan, and when the pan starts to smoke like that, that's when it's ready. So right now the flame is actually quite low in a sense, but the pan is hot. Okay, so I think that that's fine. So what we want to do is we just want to take it and we want to put what is the prettiest side down. That's the presentation side. So actually they're both nice. So in this case I'm lucky. So we will just heat up the pan and we'll put the steak in there. So it should sizzle, and if it really starts smoking away, I would say turn the heat down. And this is a fairly, even though it's a small pan, it's fairly large for the one piece. So, which is good, because a lot of times, and if you put too much in, the pan temperature will drop and you won't have searing. You're going to have essentially like sweating, so you won't have the browning. And we want to achieve the browning without burning. Okay, so in this pan here, again, we have the oil is hot. So we're going to take the potato and we're just going to remove it away from the flame like that. We can just drop this in. Okay. Why did I remove it away from the flame? It's just because sometimes there's a little bit of water on here and it can splash up. So turn that over, and we'll turn that even down further, the steak. Okay, so the steak has a nice crust on it. It's nice and brown on the surface. It's now browning on the other side. The potato is in the pan, and notice that it's been in there for about a half a minute and I haven't touched it yet. Okay, and that's because I don't want the potato to stick, and I want to make sure that it kind of gets a little bit of a crust. It lifts off the plate, and then I'll rotate the potato around. So just see, like sometimes I just shake the pan. Oh, it's moving. The potato's moving. That means it's not stuck. So I can go ahead. What I can do actually before that though is I can just reach for my salt, and I'll reach for my salt. I'm going to put a little salt on the potato, and then I'm just going to turn it around. So I've got nice browning on the potato, and then I'm going to get a little bit more salt for this side. A little bit of salt. Everybody likes salt on their French fries, and this is essentially what this is. This is like a baked oven French fry. And a little bit of white pepper. That's what I put into here. Okay, so now we have browning basically on both sides. And for the potatoes, we're going to put the magic mushroom dust, porcini mushroom dust, on the potatoes, and a little knob of butter, a little piece of butter, and we're going to put them in the oven to finish cooking. Okay. So over here, just on the stove area, I'm going to reach and pull the magic mushroom dust here. Just give that a good dousing. And also then just a little bit of butter. So if the video could record smell, you could smell the nice mushroom on there cooking. So I'm just going to place that into the oven. Okay, there it goes. Now back to the steak. Well, the steak is pretty thick, and I think that if you leave it on the stove, what's going to happen is it's going to start to get too much of a crust on the one side. So here's where I would put the steak into the oven. Okay. So that side looks good, this side looks good, and so that's also what I'm going to do. I suppose I like to do that because I'm from a restaurant background, so we always put everything into the oven because the oven's like a good babysitter, and then our stove area is clear for other things. We start other preparations, but also because the oven will promote more even cooking for the steak, and I will rotate it over once. I'll flip it around once before I pull it out. Okay, so here I've taken the steak out of the oven. I turned it at least once, if not twice, in the oven, and I have been just a fairly thick piece of meat, so it takes some time to cook through, and I cooked at a lower temperature, the temperature about 350, 375, so the meat retains more juiciness that way and doesn't shrink back. So I have the nice color on the stove top, put it in the oven to finish the cooking, and then from that point I just want to feel the meat all the time and see how I'm doing, you know, with it, and I want there to be some kind of sponginess but not too much. So I'm looking for more like a medium rare consistency. So I think that's done. I need to let the meat rest, and if I think it's underdone I can rest a little bit in the pan, but I think that this meat is good. I'm going to take it to the board because I'm going to be cutting it in 2 pieces before I put it on the plate, but I'm going to rest it about 5 minutes. Now for the potato's done. This is a little bit easier to check because when it's fork tender, that means you check it with a knife and it slides through and there's no resistance. The potato's done. Okay, so that's good. So I can take the steak over to the board, and I'm just going to put it on the corner of the board. I'm going to let it rest.